Welcome back to the channel, and starting off with just having a look at what I did last week with repairing this shelf. That glue has taken nicely, and I put the first two side panels together, so let's see how these have taken. And yes, there's a bit of glue overspill that's got to be taken off, but that feels nice and solid, and that has really gone together nice and squarely. That's excellent. And this was the one where I blocked the excess glue from coming out. So that paper will just need chiseling out, but again, that's nice and square. So blocking those holes has worked. There's even less glue overspill on that one, so that's a success, that one. Excellent. So what I'm going to do, I think, is those are the pieces for that cupboard. I'm going to keep all those separate. I will dismantle the other cupboard, get those two side panels gluing up, and then I can tackle resizing the door panels. That's the theory. That's smashing. And no glue spill. Whee! When it comes to the bottom of the door panels, last time I did this on the bandsaw, but I found manoeuvring was quite tricky because of the length of the board. So I thought today, in lieu of not having a track saw, the next best thing is I'll use the table saw. That end is giving me the length and making sure it's square. I'm going to use the guide here. So panel raising. Now I did mention a Dutch cleat. I think I've got the term right. So let me take the cutter out here, clean it up, and then we can get set up for having a go at a Dutch cleat. I want to get that cut today if possible, just to make sure, because I've got to finish that before I do any glue up on the main carcass. Right, so as I understand it, the whole idea behind a Dutch cleat is to provide an easy way of attaching something to a wall. Now, that's the rear rail, and I've usually been in the habit of drilling through the rail and then drilling into the wall, and that's fine if you've only got a small workpiece. The problem I've had, and I know many of you will have come across this, attaching one of these flat pack units to a wall, it's actually holding the whole thing up while you position where you want to drill. And usually our other halves get roped into, can you just hold that up against the wall? Now, I know we joke about it, but it's no fun for them because it's heavy work. So I was put onto this idea with Peter Parfitt from the New Brit Workshop a few weeks ago. I'll try and find the link and I'll pop it in the comments below. But the whole idea is that on the top rail you route a 45-degree chamfer on this piece, and on a corresponding piece a 45-degree, and one will slot over the other. So I'm just going to give this a test on a couple of scrap pieces, and then I'll see how easy it's going to be to do the routing. So I've got two pieces here, and I've set up the 45-degree chamfer bit so that the point is just at the top of the workpiece here, and I'm going to work from these are the bits that I were the short, as in narrow, bottom rails from the carcass that I now no longer need. So I'm just going to just give that a go and see. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the cutter has a maximum speed of 18,000 revs. So I've adjusted the router to cope with that. So that highlighted one problem. I've got to have another fingerboard here just to make sure that the workpiece doesn't move. But those are the two 45 degrees, and the whole idea is that that one's attached to the wall, and then you just drop the cupboard on top. So I'll have to make sure that the two workpieces are identically the same thickness, but you get the idea. That just drops over. That's the one attached to the wall, so with them being smaller they're much easier to manoeuvre, and I can screw those quite easily, and then that just slots over and rests. It can't move, but of course it's going to have to be that way, isn't it? So that won't move forwards, and the downward force will force it against the wall. So that's good. That's what I wanted. So let me have a look at what time. Okay, so I'm pleased with the way that things have gone this afternoon. I've managed to get the door panels recut and profiled. I've glued up 2 more side panels, so next week it'll be gluing up all 4 of the doors and then cutting the Dutch cleats, and I'm pleased with the way that that's gone as well. So thanks for coming along with me, and as I said last time, if you've got any suggestions as to how I can perhaps improve, then I'm always very receptive to your suggestions, and I'm certainly glad of some of those over the past few months. And really, 1 or 2 have asked, do I consider myself a good woodworker? No, is the short answer to that. I'm definitely learning, but one thing that it set me thinking about was the 10,000 hour rule. Now, I suppose this goes back to when people used to do apprenticeships, and they used to spend maybe 7 years learning a trade. So I suppose that's where 10,000 hours comes from. I have no idea, but there's no way I've spent 10,000 hours on woodworking so far, so I've got a long way to go. And anyway, we're getting there. And so thanks for coming along with me on this workshop journey, and I'll see you next time.